All right, so we are now live. So let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. I can start first if you'd like.
Go ahead.
Sweet. So I am Jess Hedstrom. I'm the community manager here at Sculpteo, and I'll pass it over to Alex.
Yeah, I'm Alex Greisen. I'm the user experience designer here at Sculpteo. And this webinar, I don't know, do you want to give the intro this webinar this time, or will I?
Wait, say that again. You cut
Do
out
you
there.
want to give the, sorry, do you want to give the intro to this webinar now, or will I give the intro, just the history of what we're doing and why we're doing it? And
I'm gonna let you do it. Go ahead.
okay.
Go right ahead.
Um, so basically, for the past 10 to 12 weeks, we've been doing a webinar every Tuesday, which is called Ask a 3D Designer. And that webinar is so that Alvise, who is one of our 3D designers, can go through your models, your 3D designs and your objects, and kind of give you hints and tips as to how to improve their 3D printability. A lot of this is going through files that have been refused by our printing centers for one reason or another. And Alvise goes through, either with Jess or myself, how you can improve that file to make it 3D printable. It's a lot of common errors with uh, thin walls, crossing structures, things like this. There was a great amount of requests following that webinar to have another one which focuses, instead of on third-party 3D tools, to focus on what Sculpteo offers. And so that's what this webinar is about, where we go through all of Sculpteo's tools. I'll just take over the screen here and just show people stuff. Yep. So I'll move over here. So basically, this is basically what we've been covering. I'll just let that load. So this is basically what we call the critical path at Sculpteo. This is everyone who 3D prints something at Sculpteo has to do this. They go through Create a 3D, and this is what we were talking about earlier about Ask a 3D Designer. And what we'll be doing in this webinar is all the rest of these steps. And last week we looked at upload and repair, all the different file formats we accept, what kind of questions you need to answer when you're uploading a file. For example, is it a single piece, is it multi-piece, all that kind of stuff. And also different repair algorithms that we have that can fix any problems that you have with your file automatically. We fix, I think the figure is well over 98, 99% of files that are uploaded to us. And those that can't be automatically repaired, we tell you about straight away. We show you a bit of an analysis of your file to help you out with that. And this week, we'll be looking at the print parameters, so choosing scale, materials, and things like that, and how to optimize your price and optimize your 3D file. But before we do that, I just want to go through some of the news that we'll be talking about. I think, Jess, you have some things that you want to share. I'll just stop the screen share. There you go.
Sure. Yeah, I sure do actually. So, actually, Sculpteo is going to be sponsoring a webinar that's going to be coming up, and it is going to be hosted by 3D Training Institute, and it is super exciting because it's going to be geared toward people who want to land their dream job and work for blockbuster movies doing 3D modeling. So they are actually featuring a member of their recruiting um, kind of area. So actually, it's a recruiter. Her name is Rosie Server, and she's the senior recruiter for Sony Pictures ImageWorks. And she's going to be live on every one of their webinars. It actually begins on June 24th, but we will actually be creating a little bit of a news article to go along with this announcement. But yeah, you can visit Facebook probably a little bit later this afternoon to find the link to sign up if you're interested. So that's basically the news that I wanted to share. Do you have anything, Alex, that you wanted to share?
Yeah. Well, not much, relatively speaking, because that sounds like a great opportunity for anyone in 3D printing, not just 3D printing, but 3D modeling as well.
Right.
It's really becoming a boom industry, so it's great to have recruiters getting specifically interested in that area. So, and that's on Wednesday, you said, yeah?
It is. Yep. So
Okay,
Wednesday
cool.
the 24th.
Cool. Well, basically, something that happened with us was we had the beta program for the past 2 weeks, 3 weeks actually. So we have a beta program at Sculpteo. Anyone can join that beta program. I'll just share my screen again to show some of this.
Vegas was super awesome, actually. Really cool.
well, it's fairly easy to join. You just go to beta version in the footer, and you need to be logged in, and you go to beta version. And when you go there, you can join it or leave it or whatever. So I'll leave it so that we can see. And that's how easy it is. It's opt in, opt out, whatever you want to do. You can join it if you want. And if you're part of it, you'll just see some of the things that we're working on a week or two ahead of time. And it just gives us an opportunity to get your feedback, to be able to see what we need to change or any of that kind of thing. And what we had been working on for the past 2 or 3 weeks in the beta program with some of our users was how to manage the gallery better. So this is your objects gallery. No matter where you are on Sculpteo, we looked at this last week, was after you've uploaded your design, all of your uploads end up in your objects gallery. Anything you print will end up in your objects gallery. This is kind of your library of prints and files. And we've always had this idea since earlier this year of being able to stack designs together. So you can see it's kind of like folders of designs. Think of these as cards, and we've kind of stacked them together. And every time I upload something, it's added to this gallery. And what happened with the beta program was we delivered a couple of new ways to organize these things. I can now drag and select multiple items at the same time and either delete them or create a new stack. So here I'm just going to add a little name. We'll say robots and asteroids. Wow, that's a really dumb thing to say. That's a comet. Oh, my dad would not be proud of me. So I want to change that now. So as you can see, it's changed to rename stack. And all of these options will automatically change to what you need them to be. Robots and comets. So now I have my new stack here, and in it I've got my robot and my comet. So that's a pretty cool thing, and you can split them from stacks again. You can see it's adapting to what I'm talking about, and everything's being taken care of. And a lot of those ideas of changing the options with respect to what you're doing in context came from our beta users. So if you want to join the beta program, again, in the footer, just join the beta version. And there's a lot of cool stuff. And this went live for everybody. So everyone now has these options in their gallery. They can delete all of their files at once if they want, all of their designs at once if they want. And that's basically what went live last week. So pretty exciting for me to push that new experience out. But getting to business, we were looking at this. We're looking at choosing and optimizing and this next stage in the kind of printing process here at Sculpteo. I thought I'd go through using our robot here. Jess, you know this robot, right?
I do, yeah. I'm familiar with the robot. Does he have a name, actually? Have we named it?
Unfortunately, no. I don't know. I just call him the Sculpteo robot.
We should think of something.
We definitely should, yeah. Well, actually, if any of the viewers have any ideas, give us some comments or throw us an email or whatever. It'd be a nice idea for you guys maybe to name him. But no, he's kind of our mascot here at Sculpteo, but doesn't have a name yet. So that's maybe something we should look into.
Yeah, get a contest going or something.
Yeah, it could be a nice idea.
Yeah.
But I'll have a look now. We're here in the objects gallery, but as you can see, I've got my robot. I've uploaded him or her. Kind of gender neutral robot here. And we've got our robot here, and he or she has been uploaded, repaired. Everything is fine. I've said to Sculpteo that this is a single object, so it's an articulated design. The top turns, the legs turn. So this is a single object. It has to be printed as a single piece. I can change a lot of that stuff in here from the menu. So I've got parts management. So I could go in here and say that it was a multi-piece set, but I'm going to keep it as a single object. Go into design settings where I can manage things like, for example, the materials that my robot is available in. I can change the description I gave. I can change the preview. For example, that thumbnail, I could reorient our robot so you can see the logo a bit better here. I can reset and just orient like this, for example. Let's do that until I get Sculpteo like that. If I save here, it should be able to save that thumbnail. It'll regenerate that thumbnail for me. So I can access all of these things through the menu here, remove it from my library as well if I don't want to drag and drop. We'll just see now the thumbnail gets regenerated. There you go. So you can manage everything from here. But we're going to go into the print page. Just maximize my screen here. And we can see, whoa, huge price. And that's because we're printing, if I convert this to inches, you're printing like enormous. 35 centimeters is about a foot. So we're going to go into inches here. I prefer them a little smaller, or her, or it. 3 inches is still pretty big, but we'll be looking at how we can improve that now. As you can see here, I've got options for materials, I've got options for scale, and this is the first thing I did was I managed my scale. I was able to change from metric to imperial units. I was able to change the scale of the design itself. So a 5-inch model is actually pretty big. I wanted its largest scale to be 3 inches, so we'll change that now. And I can manage everything either from here or from down here. And that's the first thing you'll notice. I can change the material, the color, the finish, the layer thickness, which is interesting as well. I can go to a finer layer thickness, and that gives me a smoother finish. And if you want details on any of these kind of materials or finishes, check out the resources pages. We'll go there now. It's the second thing here, materials and finishes. You go in here and check out all of our materials, all the different finishes, everything. So don't hesitate to do that.
That's amazing. So what is the thinnest option that you have for layer thickness?
Well, that depends on the material.
Okay.
We'll go back to 3 inches here. So for example, in plastic, the finest layers are at about 60 microns. Now that's the powder that is 60 microns. The laser, it depends on the size of the laser, the thickness of the powder, the orientation of the model, and things like that, how visible the layers will be. We give a lot of details about that in the resources pages. But generally with plastic, you're talking about 50 to 60 microns is the absolute finest you can get. However, if you're dealing with resin, you bring that down to, I think it's between 15 and 20 microns for resin. So that's a very highly detailed material. It's very different to plastic. The material properties, it's not as elastic. Plastic will be able to bend a little bit, whereas resin, it's a little bit more like, think of it like dry glue. It's a bit more glassy. So if you smash it, it will shatter a bit like glass or toffee. But generally, it's solid enough. And then alumide will be thicker. Again, every material has its own thicknesses.
Cool. I don't think that I knew that it was specific to materials, so that's really good to know. And also, I didn't know that resin was a little bit more brittle, it sounds like, than
yeah, brittle maybe isn't the term. It's more that it's a glassy material. It's not as elastic. So I mean, yeah, resin is a good material. It's fairly solid. It's not as fragile as multicolor, I'd say, but it is, as I said, a glassy material. Instead of bending, it will break. Okay. Whereas plastic will bend a little bit before it breaks. So if it's going to be a functional piece, we would generally suggest plastic, for example.
Okay.
But you get loads of different color options. And you'll see that the viewer updates automatically. So this is in spray painted resin. So we've got Valley Green here, spray painted onto the resin. If I switch to plastic, price and preview update automatically. We also get shipping estimates here. We see that it qualifies for economy plan, which we'll be talking about in the next webinar. We can see basically that all of our information is available as soon as we change it. If I change this to blue, it updates immediately. I see the different options available here. I can go to a polished finish. I can change my scale and all of those kinds of things. If a material is not available for some reason, we'll try to tell you why. So for example, alumide here, it's probably, we seem to be having some kind of issues with alumide and metals for this model. So we try to tell you that there's issues there, so you're not going to be disappointed. But where are we now? I wanted to go into the Optimize tab. So optimizations are pretty important. We can see here our model is about $60 for a 3-inch model. And I can save a lot of money if I hollow it. Now, at Sculpteo, we talk about optimizations are optimizations for you, generally your price. We will always choose something that is as closely fitting to your model as possible. So if you uploaded a full sphere, we will print the full sphere. But we do offer these optimization tools that allow you to, for example, hollow the model. So here what we're doing is we're emptying out the inside of the model. This is done online. You don't need a third-party software to do this. And all you need to do now is place holes in the model. So for example, I'm going to place 2 in the torso here. Now, a question often that comes up is, why do I need 2 holes? This is because basically the way we get the powder out is by using an air pistol, which blows air into one of these holes so that the powder can come out of the other one. An important factor, what you'll see here is I just clicked one button and just added my holes. I don't have any settings for the size of the hole, the depth of the hole, or anything like that. That is all automatically calculated. You don't need to worry about it. If I rescale my model, I'm going to change this to centimeters, for example. We'll see that the holes will automatically adjust their size. So it's recalculating the hollowing. It's looked at where I added the holes, and we can see it recalculated those holes for me. Now, naturally, I don't want to print like this. I want to do it in inches. But the fact that it recalculates automatically is a very important factor. It means that you're going to be going through much fewer iteration loops. It's very frustrating to have to kind of measure everything in your third-party software and then say, oh, I just need to rescale by 10%, and you have to change all of your calculations.
Right.
We do that all for you.
So I have a quick question for you. When you're actually putting those hollowing holes in, is there sort of like a fail-safe that if you only put one hole in, it will shoot up an error or tell you you need an additional hole, or will it let you print with one?
Actually, it's not that we won't let you print, but we won't let you finish hollowing. So for example, you can see here, I've turned it off and on again. So now I have to start again. So I'm going to place some holes in the bottom of the head here. So I'm going to place just one hole. Okay. So if I place one hole, it'll give me the option to undo that hole. And it'll tell me that I need at least 2 holes for each volume.
There you go. Okay, perfect.
Okay, but it won't let me finish.
Perfect.
Okay. So,
yeah, I don't know what I was going to say. Go ahead. Sorry, Alex.
well, it's kind of a system which it's basically to prevent any kind of errors on your part. We try to make sure that the system does as much as possible automatically.
Right. Exactly.
Now that I've added 2, I could say add another hole, or I could say done, or I could undo what I've done. So I'm given all these options. I'm going to add another hole. I'm going to say, for example, I think I can hollow out his feet a little bit.
Now, do you want to add additional holes?
It depends on the number of volumes I have. You can see here that some hollowed volumes are missing holes. I can try to switch into wireframe mode here. So I can see that there's some volumes. If we move this here, there's volumes in his arms here which don't have holes. So depending on the size of your model, you might want to add holes here. I just added a hole. So there, I don't want this hole, for example. So I'll just say undo. I just undid that hole. But I can see that there's volumes inside his rather Popeye kind of forearms here. So I could add extra holes here to try to shave more money off. But I would still need 2 holes. Now, some people ask, why do I need 2 holes on such a small volume? Why won't one do? And the problem is, it's called powder. It's a problem with packing of powders. If you imagine that you have a balloon full of sand, and if you suck all the air out of that balloon, Even though it's sand in your hand, sand will flow out of your hand. When it's in a tightly packed balloon, it's as solid as a rock. And that's kind of what's inside these volumes here. It's a very tightly packed powder. It's very, very solid. And if you only have one hole, the powder particles build a kind of arch around the hole. So you need to have a certain size of hole. And you also need to be able to apply pressure from the inside, which you can only do if you have a second hole to blow air in. So we've still got volumes here that have holes. I'm going to keep adding holes, but I'm going to stop soon because eventually I get to a point where I'm not saving much more. We've saved about $10 so far on this model by emptying out a couple of different things here. But I'm pretty happy here. I'm going to finish up, I think. Now I'm missing, I can't get to done because I've added only one hole on a volume, so just undo until I'm happy.
Interesting. So if you only add, like let's say you put a bunch of holes in and you're missing a pair to one of the pair, it won't actually let you proceed. So it keeps track of how many holes, where those holes are, things like that for you.
Yeah, and if you want to reset, you just hit here and it just resets everything. It's pretty rare that you'll want to do more than one or two holes, one or two volumes rather.
Yeah.
Sorry?
No, I was just saying, I kind of figured it's probably very rare that you would put in like 6 pair of holes. But yeah.
So we'll say we just emptied out the head. We've gotten it down 10%. I'm pretty happy with that. But the great thing about optimizations is that they add up. So you're not just dealing with a 10% saving thanks to hollowing. I can also benefit from something called batch control. So this is a robot, and robots that are alone are kind of sad robots. So I want to have like 20 robots. And the great thing about 20 robots is as soon as I have 20, I benefit from something called batch control. Sculpteo, we do a lot of printing for startups, for people who are doing prototyping, who are trying to develop Kickstarters and things like this. So they want to be able to print off a load of robots at the same time, or a load of drone pieces, or a load of prototypes at the same time. Because they need basically a small batch of 20 or 30, and they can't do that with injection molding, because 20 or 30 units would be way too expensive.
Right.
Yeah, so they do something like this.
Yeah.
And we've saved another 10% here. And we can save more. I mean, by ordering 20, we've been able to optimize the packing in the tray. And if I go to review batch, I don't know what's going on with the big robot there. It's because I'm in full screen or something. But we'll be able to check this out now. I just got a 20 units on a, let's go a 3-inch model. Let's recalculate it. I want 20. Wait for it to calculate our batch, and I'll stay out of full screen or something. We'll review our batch, and we can see our robots in here. And there's a couple of tips if you want to really get your price down. So we've gone from $60 to $45. So I think that's about what? It's about 25%. So we've made a 25% saving. Notice I haven't hollowed because I had to refresh. So I haven't hollowed this model, but I have not filled my space either. We've reserved a place in the print tray for you. I could fit 4 more robots in here, so I'm going to do that straight away. We're going to go from $60, and now that I've properly packed up all of the space I have, I've gone down to 36. So that's almost 50% saving. I'm at about 40–45% now, just because I filled up my space here. And as I said, these optimizations add up. So now that I'm happy with my packing, oh, that's another thing I didn't mention. I could also optimize my print orientation. I can customize my orientation. And I can see how this guy is going to be printed by just dragging this slider. If I wanted to print him differently, Now this will change my price because it changes my batch height. But we'll go back to the original later. So this is how this guy would be printed, but because he has all these gentle curves, I'm going to just reset it to the original.
And actually, it didn't increase the price by an astonishing amount. So if you did want to change your orientation due to, like we were talking about before, like resolution and things like that, you could totally do it, and it wouldn't be an insane amount more.
Well, it depends. I mean, you can see that this orientation was at $40, but this orientation here is really bad. It's at $51. So we've only saved $8. I mean, it's funny to talk like that, saying I only saved $8, but just to kind of, well, yeah, it's still it's 7 or 8% there already, but that's because when they're laying flat on their bellies like this, we're not using all this space properly. So you're actually better having them standing up, or maybe change the orientation a bit like this. Maybe this will work better. Have a look. So as you can see, we're updating the price. I'm just playing with orientation, and you can do this. We're down to 36. So this was the default. So Sculpteo chose this orientation automatically because it was the cheapest, and that's what we'll do. But if the orientation is very important for your model in order to make sure that you avoid layering effects or stairway effects, then you do have the option to pay a little more and customize your orientation. And as you said, you might not end up paying that much more. If I wanted to print this guy standing up, instead of $36.71, I'm going to pay something like $39 if I remember correctly. And it'll still update automatically here. Yeah. So $2 per unit, and I've been able to customize more orientation. So that's not bad.
That's an amazing feature that only Sculpteo offers as well. Like, this is something that I think really for people who are starting businesses or doing Kickstarters, it's putting a lot of power back in their hands because they can actually play around with the orientation and determine what's more important, saving money, or if they want like specific resolution like we were talking about before. But yeah, this is something that they can only get through Sculpteo, which is, I think, amazing. I've heard many people ask for this feature. So.
Well, now you know where to tell them to go. But that's the whole philosophy. I mean, for me, as the user experience designer, when I worked with our developers to work on hollowing, to work on batch control and things like this, we really focused, the strategy was really to basically make this your factory. In fact, if you go to the homepage, that's the whole idea here. You are running the factory. So you decide on what's important to you, and we will automate the rest. That's really the whole philosophy of Sculpteo is if you just want to print something, we'll make it as easy as possible for you. We'll automate everything, and we'll choose what we feel is best to get you the best price and the fastest delivery. But if any of those factors is more important to you, you have the choice and the power to be able to go in and customize the orientation, to be able to hollow this guy, do all kinds of different things.
It's amazing. It's kind of like you come up with the idea, we'll take care of the rest. So it's perfect.
Yeah. So I'm going to head into hollowing now. So I'm just going to turn the hollowing on because we were talking about this stacking these things. So we've gone from $60 to $40. And it's $40 because I chose to have him printed standing up, him or her rather, sorry. So I'm going to hollow out a couple of volumes here as we saw earlier. So we're adding this hole now. Add a second hole. I'm going to add some in the head as well. And we're going to go from $40 here to, drum roll. Oh, I didn't change that much actually. I'll add more holes, see if we can get that down a bit further.
I was going to say, I didn't see that you added holes in the head.
Now, this is probably a very small volume. It's probably not affecting much. Drum roll. Hope this works.
It will.
What? Obviously not. Hang on, I'll have to try this again. Well, that's disappointing. Let me do a review here.
24 selected, yeah. Okay. So this is for the entire batch.
We had some hollows. So we saved a bit. But basically, yeah, what you're going to get is you're going to go from your unit price, it gets affected on everything. So those savings sum up. I can try with another object here. Yeah, we'll try with 67p. That'll be cool.
Can you tell me a little bit about 67p and the comet? Like the
Oh, yeah. We spoke about this last time. 67p is the comet from the famous Rosetta mission. So this is ESA sent the Rosetta mission to this comet. This 3D model is from some of the earliest scans as Rosetta was approaching the comet. And we worked with, I'll increase this to 5 centimeters. We worked with ESA to print this so that they could decide and help to present to the directors where the landing zone would be. I think it was somewhere over here. They printed this in gray plastic. And they actually did what I'm about to do. I can see $147, $150 here for this 8 centimeter comet. And unfortunately, I don't have ESA's budget. So I'm going to try to hollow this out. And basically, yeah, so in November, they landed the Philae lander, which was the lander part of the Rosetta mission. And just add another hole here. And it landed, but unfortunately, it landed in a fairly shadowy area. And it's only now that it started communicating with ESA again. And we're getting loads of great data on, for example, gaseous emissions. We're getting data on all of the water vapor. Well, it's not vapor, basically steam coming off the comet. As it approaches the sun, we're seeing where it's coming off and what quantity, and lots of great data coming off. As you can see here, we were at $150. We're down to $50 now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've saved 2/3 just by hollowing it out. So I don't need ESA's budget to print off my little souvenir of 67p. But I did this so that I could show you how we save. We've gone down to $50. I'm going to print a batch now and see if that saves us more. It's not a very efficient model for batches because it's got all these hollow spaces here, but we should save another 5 or 10%. Just let this think. So yes, we saved another 10% here. So you can add optimizations together, and that all adds together. So you shouldn't hesitate to use these optimizations. Just
learning more about the optimizations and like how they work for your specific print, you can definitely check out the resources page that Alex showed us before.
Yeah, so we've got, you go to improving your model here. You can check out. So we got demos, loads of explanations as to how it works, why it works the way it does, things like that. So you can see the kinds of price differences you're going to get, how to optimize your batch properly, all kinds of great information. So that's all on the resources page. Show you again. Improving your 3D model. We've got what we cover on Tuesdays, what we covered last week, and what we've been covering this week is optimize. So I'm going to head back to the webinar here. So that's about it. That's all I wanted to talk about this week.
Perfect. So remember, guys, we also have the LinkedIn group. If you're not a member of the LinkedIn group, I would recommend heading over there. A lot of questions get answered over there. A lot of discussions get started over there. So that would definitely be something I'd recommend. And then in addition to that, if you're interested in 3D modeling, definitely check out our Facebook post. It's going to be posting this afternoon. And friend us if you're not already friended with Sculpteo. But you'll be able to see the link that you can use to sign up for that 3D modeling webinar. Awesome. That is all from me. Do you have any additional thoughts, Alex?
Just to close, I thought I'd say that next week is going to be the last in this series, the last in this season of the guided tour series. Next week, we'll be looking at everything about reviewing your model. So that's solidity, cutaway views, things like that. And also the checkout, how you can save even more money on the checkout by choosing what is it again? It's the economy mode production method. So we'll be going through those different things that we can look at. And that'll be next week, and that'll be the last in this season. And I think from then on, you're taking over, Jess, aren't you?
I am, yeah. It's going to be very exciting. So definitely make sure you continue to follow along and sign up for the webinar.
Cool. Well, all I can say is thanks everyone for coming. And if you're on YouTube, don't hesitate to like and comment the video. And until next time, cheers.